Jason Slosher,
And this is Zach Cheney.
and this is our podcast based on the play The Crucible.
Today we will be going into depth over events that occurred in Salem that we would think are completely normal, but to them were out of the ordinary.
During this era, people were quick to accuse others and often sue them for pointless reasons. Let's discuss our first example, Zach.
Alright, let's go over the one dealing with a man and his pigs. We will just call this Pig Man for short. Basically, a man bought pigs off of a woman for whatever purposes he wanted, but we are just going to assume to eat. The man had his pigs for around a month, and then all of a sudden they started dying. Pigman was outraged and quickly accused the woman who sold him the pigs of witchcraft.
The funny thing was, no witchcraft was involved. Mr. Pigman just never fed them so they died, and nobody thought to use common sense when this occurred, so the woman was convicted.
There are many encounters of these type of accusations happening around Salem. In all honesty, it would be very odd if someone wasn't getting accused, sued, or even hung on a daily basis. Alright, Jason, let's get into our next accusation.
Yes, Zach. My favorite one is where they had someone fall to the ground, and if they screamed, they were considered to be associated with witchcraft. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Why would this be? It makes no sense to try and accuse or sue an individual because they were scared of hitting the ground. That's a normal reaction for any sane human being.
I agree with you. That seems a bit odd for someone to get upset with. I feel like back in Salem, they look for any reason to get someone in trouble. Now back to falling on the ground. In today's society, that wouldn't ever happen. People would just glance at you, give you a weird look, and most likely take a video of you and post it on social media. We would consider that normal.
It makes no sense to do that. It's very strange. Now, Zach, let's get into our third and one of your favorite accusations.
Yes, I would have to say this is my favorite one, Jason. The logic behind this one isn't all that great, but now let's get into detail with it. Basically, Ann Putnam was pregnant and accused Rebecca of killing her children. What would give Rebecca a reason to kill her children? There is no explanation behind it, and it just doesn't add up in my book.
Yes, I agree. The funny thing is, they just happened to die. There was no witchcraft behind it. She was just unlucky, and sometimes that happens.
You have to be some type of insane person to be able to kill or even hurt a newborn or anybody in that matter.
In today's society, if you kill an infant, it is automatic prison or jail time. Also, you can't just accuse someone and get them in trouble without any proof or evidence. Back then, they took everyone's word and they stuck to it no matter what because that's who they were. That's what's wrong with the Salem community. They were too trusting.
I don't know if I would say trusting, but I think they were way too eager to accuse someone and get them in trouble back then. And yes, they were not the best community. Finally, our last accusation that we will be going over with is what we would call the mumbling girl. All this girl did would mope around and mumble things to herself, nobody else. The people of Salem considered her to be very weird. Today we would think that they were drugged, special needs, or mentally handicapped. We wouldn't say they had something to do with witchcraft.
Yes, Zach, I have also heard of that one. Today, if we saw the strange occurrence happen, first off, we wouldn't have made it a big deal about it, especially say she's a part of witchcraft or the devil has possessed her. We would just assume that the individual was antisocial or had a problem.
Yes, the townspeople said she was quote-unquote possessed and had a very serious problem, when in all reality, she was just being herself. Overall, out of all the discussions we have gone over, my personal favorite was the hog one. What would you have to say is yours, Jason?
Yes, mine would definitely have to be the lady whose children were born and then later died. It was fascinating to hear about someone being accused of that. Miscarriages and death after birth are slightly common, but witchcraft wouldn't be the answer in our society.
Something I think we can conclude from these peculiar accusations is that people back then weren't as educated as they are in today's society. Also, that they were too quick to speak rather than think of the logical occurrences that happen in everyday life.